Well, Bisclav, you sure have a way of getting a fast turnaround from me on these responses, whether it's making an anime film thread or whatever else. But um, yeah, I think you explained those. I think you explained the kind of the two senses of idealism that I touched on first. I think you fleshed those out pretty well. Thinking in terms of what could be, what should be, but then even more strongly, I would add also what needs to be, right? I mean, that's the strongest case of it. The way things need to be. Um, I think of the first person I think of in that camp would be like Elon Musk, who's just so driven to carry out his visions that it's not at the level of should or want. I mean, want, yeah. When you launch a car into space, that's maybe a want thing, but maybe not a should thing. But there's a definite element of urgency, I think, for some idealists, and I mean those would fall into the camp of like Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, maybe, but not that I'm typing those two as NFs because they're, I mean, they're probably like idealists and Ts, I would say. Elon might be kind of NF-ish, but anyway, that's been debated here on this forum too. And then there's the more philosophical sense of idealism that you alluded to. And I'd actually forgotten about that when I made my video, which I guess I should be a little bit ashamed of. But that would be basically viewing reality as a function of the mind, right? That consciousness is or creates reality, and it's the primary force in creating reality. So it's a subjectivistic sort of way of viewing reality and how reality works. I get this a lot as somebody in a department that specializes on phenomenology and sort of privileges the first person point of view. You get a lot of that sort of idealism, and you get the other kinds of idealism too. So it's interesting to see when those two co-occur. But yeah, the thing with these dichotomies is like you can strive for some kind of middle ground between them. I usually like to synthesize the two and come at some kind of new, maybe third meaning. I tend to find that the most compelling way forward. I'm not sure it's as simple as just kind of hybridizing. So, being a realist, idealist, I mean, if you achieve balance between the two and you can do both well, then all the better. But then you become something else at that point. And we probably need new words for that. So like, what is a realist idealist? I can't think of a word for that off the top of my head. So go to my neologized thread if you happen to think of one, or else I have to. But yeah, so there's these three senses of idealism, and I mean, maybe next we can turn more to fleshing out realism. I mean, that's just what is, right? But it's also what has been. And then the final thing I'll end on is Visclav, you correctly, I think, mentioned you focused on the future orientedness of idealism. But I think you can be a realist about the future too, especially if you are confident in how you feel the future will be, or how you believe the future will be. There are people in this camp, in the kind of transhumanist singularity camp. Ray Kurzweil is like the most well-known predictor of the future. A lot of his predictions have come to pass, mostly in the realm of technology development. So I think you can be a realist about the future too, as long as you know what actually will be. But I think that's a minority of humanity. I think that's a very small sliver, who not only believes that you can be that precise about what the future will be like, but then actually predict those sorts of actual futures, rather than just possible, probable, likely, potential futures. Right? What's the actual future? And And to what extent does idealism factor into that? Because we can define what a preferable, desirable future will be, or would be, but defining what it actually will be, that's, I think is a worthy challenge for anyone interested in a realist approach to the future.